Okay, guys, so today I will be breaking down The Undoing. I'm gonna tell you guys everything. This show is on HBO Max. It stars Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. Okay, so there's only one season, too, by the way, and it's only like 6 or 8 episodes. Okay, getting into it. Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant are married. Okay, they have children, or maybe just one child, a son, I think. And they're like sort of rich. Hugh Grant is a doctor. Nicole Kidman, I think she's like, I kind of forget what she does. Maybe she's like a stay-at-home mom or something. But she's she's basically like a socialite. Okay, so the show starts and we see them and they're a happily married couple. Okay, but there's a little more that meets the eye. Okay, so Nicole Kidman, Hugh Grant, and their kid, they're sitting around the kitchen table. They're getting ready for work and school. So, Hugh Grant goes off. The son, he's begging for something, like some type of animal. I can't remember exactly. Some type of animal he wants. But his parents are like, no. So then we see Nicole Kidman. She's at like a PTA meeting or something. And they're like a few wives. They're sitting around the table, and then there's this young, maybe mixed girl. She's either like black and white or black and Mexican or something. She's super young, and she has a newborn baby. She's sitting around the table. Her baby's getting fussy. All the older women are looking at her, and then she pulls her boob out and breastfeeds. Family, they're getting ready for work and school. Their son is begging and pleading with them for a dog as a pet. But they're like, no, you can't get a dog. We've told you this over and over again. Dad is allergic to dogs, so we can't have a dog. Maybe something else. So they go their separate ways. Nicole Kidman's character ends up at a PTA meeting with a bunch of her peers. Suddenly, a younger woman shows up. Super beautiful mixed girl shows up. And she's sort of passive aggressive towards the group, but especially towards Nicole Kidman. And then her baby becomes super fussy. So right there at the table, she whips her boob out and starts to breastfeed while staring Nicole Kidman in the eye. So next, Nicole Kidman's friend calls her and she's like, yo, that girl was super passive aggressive towards you in the PTA meeting today, don't you think? And she's just like, no, she was just doing what she had to do for her baby. You know, she's like super understanding about the whole thing, right? So then later, Nicole Kidman, she ends up at the gym and she's either getting ready to go in or go out. Either way, they're in the locker room. And the same girl from the PTA meeting just comes, stands right in front of her, stark naked, okay? Just talking like nothing is happening. And Nicole Kidman is sort of weirded out. So she tells her husband about it, and her husband is like, well, maybe this girl has a thing for you. You know, they just kind of laugh it off and make a joke of it. Okay, so the next day, the husband, he needs to go out of town on business, right? So he leaves, and Nicole Kidman, she's in a meeting. That's right, she does have a job. So sorry, I forgot about that. She's in a meeting at work, and she keeps getting messages on her phone, but she's in a meeting, so she can't chat. So when she gets out of the meeting, she gets a call from her friend again, and her friend is like, check your phone. Did you hear what happened? So that beautiful girl that was breastfeeding and that was naked in front of her in the gym is dead, okay? Leaving behind 2 children and a husband. Shows up dead. Their little socialite elite community is all busted up because there's a murder. Guys, forgive me. So I definitely skipped a step. So before the girl comes up missing, Nicole Kidman and her husband, they're at a party, okay, for the school. So tons of people are at the party, from school. Some of the same girls from the PTA meeting, even the super young girl that was killed, okay? She was also there. But she is all flustered, right? So Nicole Kidman, being the sensitive, nice lady that she is, she goes up to her and she asks her, "Are you okay? What's going on? I noticed that you are crying." The girl just like walks up to her and kisses her, and then she runs out. Nicole Kidman offers her a ride home, but she denies it. She decides to take the train. So then suddenly, Nicole Kidman's husband, he has to go to work. He gets a call. Okay, so that poor girl's oldest son runs to her studio where he finds her dead body. Okay? The little boy is devastated. He runs home. He reports back to his father. His father goes there to the studio where her body is and calls the police. So the investigation ensues. Okay? Now, back home, Nicole Kidman's character, she's calling her husband to tell him what happened, okay? And he is not answering the phone. So she's freaking out because she really wants to talk to him and let him know what's been going on back home. But, okay, guys, so she's calling and calling and calling, and the story is just blowing up, and she cannot find her husband anywhere. She's starting to get worried. So she just goes to her room and she calls and calls, and then she starts to hear some buzzing going on in her room. So she looks around and she finds her husband's phone shoved under some clothes in the back of one of their drawers. So now she is like losing it, okay? She either is suspicious of him or she's worried that he might be dead too. So the police come around and they start to talk to her. Why? Okay, so the police come around and they sit her down and they're like, "You need to tell us where your husband is." And she's like, well, y'all need to tell me where my husband is because I have not heard from him. And they're like, "Ma'am, don't lie to us. We know you know where your husband is." So now she's like, whoa, what's going on? So they inform her about her husband. They inform her about her husband's affair with a young woman from the PTA meeting who was breastfeeding her baby, who turned up dead. They say your husband has been having a relationship with this woman, and she has filed harassment charges against your husband, and he's been fired. So the cops are like, your husband was suspended from work. And she's like, that's impossible because he left on a business trip. So so the police leaves. She's calling hotel after hotel to see if her husband's there. Nobody has any recognition of him, any type of idea where this man could be. So she goes to his job, right? And she's asking one of his colleagues, "Where's my husband? Do you know anything?" And he's like, "Well, there's not much I can tell you, but your husband basically hasn't worked here in over a year," right? She's like, whoa. Okay, so things are heating up. the police believe that her husband killed this woman, and she's beginning to believe it as well. Even the people at her son's school are believing it. So they tell her, look, your son is good, but we don't think you should be the one dropping him off anywhere near here, because it's a frenzy. We need you to stay away from our school to keep the media presence down. She's like, what? No way. So she drops him off, and then she gets a little bit more information. She finds out that the woman who was killed had a son who had cancer, and her husband was his doctor. So that's how they began their affair. She then finds out that her husband also has been paying for this woman's son's tuition to go to this good school with money that he borrowed from her father. He told her father that they were doing bad. He didn't tell him why. He said things weren't going well and he needed to borrow some money. He's been using this money to send his mistress's child to the same school that his son goes to. And the newborn baby that this woman was breastfeeding in front of everyone at the PTA meeting, also his. Girl, Nicole Kidman's character, I think it's Grace, she is like mortified, okay? She don't know what to do. So she decides to take a break and go to their cabin in the woods somewhere, beach house. Okay, so her and her son, they're at the beach house, I think it is, far away from everything, just trying to think and figure out what their next move is. The son is asking his mom, like, what's going on? Did he do it? The mom is just like, I don't know. So they start to hear some strange movement and come to find out Hugh Grant, the father and husband, has been hiding out at the beach house, has been laying low from the law. So she's screaming like, oh, no, get out, I'm calling the cops. And he's like, let me explain. So she lets him explain, and he's like, I didn't kill her, but we did have an affair. And she's like, okay, girl. She calls the cops anyway. All right. So the police come, they pick up her husband, he goes to jail. He's begging and pleading for her to help him and for her to believe him. He's saying that he did not kill this woman, and he is very, very, very convincing. He owns up to the fact that yes, he did have an affair, but he's pleading with his wife, and she believes him, okay? She believes him. She gets him a lawyer. She's there for him. He gets out, and, they seemingly go on with life as if, yes, he might have murdered somebody, but maybe not. She tells her son, no, he didn't do it, so she wholeheartedly believes. So the police come, they pick up her husband, he goes to jail. He's begging and pleading for her to help him and for her to believe him.